everyone. In this room, there are different views, different ways of expression, different emotional intensities, and different roads that lead to conclusions. May we combine clarity of mind with kindness of heart, and may we be impartial without bending to strong personalities. May we sacrifice self-interest for the good of the whole. May we do our work with love and clarity of vision for the benefit of those we represent. And I'd like to acknowledge that we're on the traditional unceded territory of the Cowichan people. And welcome. It's backwards day. It's a what is it, a panadrome today? The only panadrome of our lifetime today? Was that yesterday? 0202, isn't it? So it's not the second today? All right. Way to ruin my day for me, Tom. All right. And with that, I'll call the meeting to order. Introduction of late items? Nothing? Okay. Approval of agenda that the February 3rd, there it is, 2020 council agenda be approved as circulated. Any discussion? All those in favor? Adoption of minutes that the minutes of December 16th, 2019 special council meeting be adopted as circulated. Any discussion? All those in favor? That the minutes of January 20th, 2020 regular council meetings be adopted as circulated. Any discussion? All those in favor? Motion carries. And we'll move on to the report of the administrative officer.
Thank you, Mayor Staples. The Pine Avenue, infrastructure upgrades construction for the project is now substantially complete. Only line painting and landscaping remaining, which are obviously weather dependent and will be completed early in the spring. The Government and Kenneth Street intersection improvements involve the replacement of a water main, repositioning of the crosswalk to a safer location, and realignment of the travel lanes, and improvement to the public space in the area. The project will include a rain garden incorporated into the landscaping design. The Totem Committee has been consulted regarding the repositioning of the totems within the site with some modest suggestions. There was originally intended to be electrical vehicle charging stations within that design, but we've removed that and instead be added to the Duncan Street project. Installing electrical charging stations in a parallel parking situation doesn't work too well. So we'll be having 4 charging stations on Duncan Street. They're dual head chargers. The neighboring businesses are currently being engaged, shown the plans and advised of the likely timelines, and the project's expected to begin in late July and completed by mid-October. Request for proposals for the Cairnsmore roundabout for the engineering design of that roundabout has been prepared and was posted on January 10th and closes soon on February 10th. Duncan Street sidewalk improvements, businesses and residents along the east side of Duncan Street have been engaged and were provided with plans and likely timelines for the project. Some concerns had been expressed regarding access during construction. Staff will be endeavoring to maintain access to all properties during the construction whenever we can do that. Construction is scheduled to begin March 2nd, so very soon, and is forecast to be completed by June 1st. Designs underway for the laneway between 3rd and 4th Street, where we'll be installing drainage and paving to that lane, which is currently gravel. This is projected to begin in May and should last about 4 weeks for the duration. The Canada and Evans sewer main design, staff are reviewing the consultant's report to identify the critical sections of sewer main that can be lined. That lining is planned for early in the fall. Still no changes to the 262 E.J. Hughes project. We're still waiting for some confirmation as to how the parking on the existing street can be replaced. And no change to the Macadam Park and Rotary Park plans, nor the Cairnsmore neighborhood plans. The draft plans are expected to be presented very soon. As council is aware, we have a placemaking project for Whistler Street and Station Street. Whistler Street and 85 Station Street, as in the property of 85 Station Street. The city's engaged Portland-based Communitecture, still struggling with that word, Communitecture, which is Mark Lakeman being the principal of those companies, to conduct a public placemaking design project for Whistler Street and for the property at 85 Station Street, which is next to the existing park the city owns. The process will include a free public presentation on placemaking by Mark Lakeman, scheduled for February 28th. That's a Friday. The first 2 sets of workshops will take place on February 29th. That's Saturday, and Sunday, March 1st. Invitations to stakeholders and public promotion of the project will take place in the beginning of this month, February. The city will also be partnering with the VIU Masters of Planning program to have students participate and assist with the workshops and design. The final designs will be presented to council at your June 15th meeting. No changes in operations at the Safer Community Plan. The Safer Working Group continues to meet regularly to discuss things that we can do to impact improve the corridor. No change currently to be announced, at least with the housing and shelter initiatives. We continue to work as staff with North Cowichan and BC Housing staff on criteria for temporary shelters and for sites selection. And last but not least, the tax rate distribution. The draft financial plan, the 5-year financial plan, has been completed, and the bylaw is now being drafted for council's consideration. Council will also consider the tax rate distribution itself on the March 16th, 2020 Committee of the Whole meeting. And there will be an open house at City Hall on March 24th of this year at 4 p.m. Thanks.
Any questions from council right now? Councillor Duncan?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Through you to Mr. DeVerti. On the Carensmore roundabout, I believe ICBC had participated financially in the past in some of these roundabouts. Will we be getting any money from them this time?
Certainly, most of the North Cowichan, if not all the North Cowichan ones, were funded in part, not a huge proportion, but in part by ICBC provided some funding. I can't recall off the top of my head if we've got confirmation yet from ICBC, but it's very, very high probability because they do like funding roundabouts. They're safer from a accident perspective. So, but I don't know. I can check on that and report back to council.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Hearing none, thank you for the report. Reports from staff. Development variance permit, 1075 Holmes Street.
So we have development variance permit Is this one better? That sounds much better. This is to facilitate the conversion of an existing accessory building to a detached secondary suite. So the property is located at 1075 Holmes Street. It's up near the intersection of Holmes and Berkeley. And it's a predominantly single-family, low-density residential neighborhood. And just south of the map, these properties down here are fronted on Carensmore Street. Within the low-density residential zone under the zoning bylaw, and also in the official community plan, there's a low-density residential section, and it is located within the area for the Carensmore neighborhood plan, which is currently underway. Currently on the site, I'll have a closer up image later, but currently on the site there's the house near the front of the property. There's a detached studio building, and then at the rear is the building that is subject to this variance application. It was built in 2012 as a garage, and so there will be minimal work to convert the suite, minimal work from the exterior anyways. It will involve infilling where they currently have a garage door and replacing that with windows and a new door for an entry. So they're within the all of the other zoning regulations for that zone, other than the rear and the interior side setbacks for a detached suite. A few photos. This just shows the property from the front. You can see back here at the end of the driveway is the building. And just a closer view of the front of the building, and then this one here is the rear or the west side of the building. So this is the site plan that the applicant submitted showing the location of the buildings and the setbacks. And in order to meet the other zoning regulations, they'll need to construct an additional parking stall that will be accessed from the main driveway. Their drawings showing the front and the north side of the building after construction. And so they've applied for a variance of 1.37 meters instead of 1.5 meters on the interior or south side, and 1.2 meters instead of 1.5 meters at the rear of the property. I've noted in my report that we received 2 public responses to the public notice that went out to the surrounding property owners and residents. One of the responses was in favor of the application and in favor of the construction of new residential units in the area, or new accessory residential unit, affordable unit. One of them, the other response was not in favor of the application, stating concerns with speeding and traffic and parking on the street. That's all I have for my presentation.
Okay. Questions from council? Councillor Bruce?
Jill, do we have a board of variance? Do we have there used to be, I think, in the city, a board of variance. Do we have that?
We do still have it. I think the members were confirmed maybe 2 years ago. So we haven't had to use it in several years.
Oh, so you only have to use it if there's major complaints between the two?
Typically, it's if it's something that can't be varied by council, like if it's, for instance, a non-conforming structure where the applicant is looking to expand the structure or change the structure. Something that couldn't be varied by council could be sent to the Board of Variance.
Mm-hmm. And there's a studio. Is that being lived in as well?
No, it's not. I don't believe it has plumbing. I think it's just a very simple structure.
Oh, okay.
Councillor Book?
Thank you. So the letter not in favor because of parking, but parking for this will be on site, would it not?
It will be.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from council? No? Okay, I'll read out the motion. Thank you, Ms. Chanot. That council approve the proposed development variance permit DVP 2019-06 for 1075 Holmes Street, amended lot 7DD 205579-1, Block 2, Section 19, Ranges 5 and 6, Quamachin District, Plan 1265B, to permit for the conversion of an existing accessory garage structure into a detached secondary suite by varying the Section 4.31 in zoning bylaw number 3166/2017 as follows. To vary the rear and parcel line setbacks for a detached secondary suite from 1.5 meters to 1.2 meters for the existing accessory building. To vary the interior side parcel line setback from 1.5 meters to 1.37 meters for the existing accessory building. and that as a condition of the DVP 2019-06, the applicant provide a landscape estimate and landscape security deposit for hard and soft landscaping of the property for the proposed new parking space, subject to the approval of the manager of planning. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Any further discussion on the motion on the floor? Hearing none, all those in favor? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Chanot.
Oh, really?
So we'll move on to 6.2, Inter-Municipal Relations Protocol Agreement and Joint Meeting Topics, that Council directs staff to add the Inter-Municipal Relationship Protocol Agreement to the next joint meeting agenda for ratification, and that Council directs staff to add up to 3 topics to the next joint City of Duncan and North Cowichan meeting agenda. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Is there any discussion or questions? No, hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carries. Access date group lease for City Hall basement closet. That council, sometimes things just seem so strange, that council approved the lease agreement between Access Data Group and the City of Duncan, substantially as attached to the February 3rd, 2020 report of the Director of Finance for leasing closet space in City Hall basement at $75 a month for a term of 5 years. Would you care to explain this, Ms. McWilliam? Oh, it would be you, Ms. Costa.
Thank you, Mayor Staples. So, as you know, the volunteer Cowichan is no longer leasing the basement of City Hall, and we've got some more office space down there that we're going to be using for staff now. And we were approached by Access Data Group, and they run telecommunications company here in Duncan, and they have been leasing space elsewhere, but have a need to move. And so they've worked with us before. They do all our telephone systems, and they know the space very well. And so they noticed that we have more room down there now, and so they approached us, and we're working out a deal with them for hosting their equipment down there. Mm-hmm.
Any questions from Council? Councillor Bruce?
How much a square inch are we getting?
I'm not sure. I'd have to run those numbers for you and get back to you.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Motion carries. Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 3206-2020. That Council adopt Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 3206-2020, a bylaw to amend the hydrant usage fees, add descriptions to the metered sewer rates, remove the theater abatement program fee, and relocate the meter reading fee in the bylaw schedule. Do I have a mover and a seconder? And then would staff, anyone like to say anything about this? Back to you. No? Oh, okay.
Thank you, Mayor Staples. So this was in for first 3 readings on the last meeting, and so it is for those housekeeping items that are listed right there in the motion, and this is just the final step in adopting the bylaw.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from Council? Hearing none. All those in favor? Motion carries. Correspondence from to Mayor and Council. Chamber of Commerce requests for letter of support. That Council direct staff to provide a letter of support to the Chamber of Commerce, recognizing them as the provider of community visitor services to secure the 2020 visitor service funding through Destination BC. Do I have a mover and a seconder? Okay, this seems fairly straightforward. Any questions, comments? Did you want to?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. They're trying to get a change in their funding. It hasn't been looked at since 2012. The numbers that they're using for their funding by Destination BC. So, yes, we should support them and take a look at the numbers again.
Excellent, thank you. All those in favor? Motion carries. Reports of Mayor and Council. Are there any councillors who would like to make a report this evening?
No.
Councillor Bruce.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Brooke and I went to went to the seniors' place to play pool and have lunch, and we were questioned by some of the seniors for the wondering when their gutters are going on in the building, and we told them, I think that Peter had spoken to them and said that the contractor will show up soon, I think is the term, and is that that's happening fairly quickly?
I didn't check on today, but I didn't check this morning, but they were supposed to arrive on Friday to do the work, so I haven't checked in to see if they actually showed up on Friday. So
Good. I hope it happens because it's taking Councillor Brooke and I quite a while to have our
have
bowl
your
of-
lunch.
have
yeah.
our bowl of soup
Yes.
over there. So, yeah. And can I go on? Also, Councillor Brooke and I met with Walt Punnett and Lisa, I can't remember Lisa's last name, regarding the alley access between First and Second Street. And they came up with, I thought it was a new concept where they're going to put a gate on the First Street side of their parking lot to, or getting prices on such to stop the traffic from going right through there and into the alleyway and the new building that has been built. So I think it's settling down there a little bit, but nothing has been sold in the new building yet anyway, so it's pretty quiet at this point. And the third thing is I attended the public budget meeting at City Hall on January the 28th, 2020, and I was put in charge of crowd control. That didn't happen. Yeah, there was zero, but I did a fairly good job of that at the time. And thank you very much.
Are there any other councillors who wish to make a report? No? Okay. I will, going once, going twice. I will make a fairly quick report. I wanted to report out on a couple of things. I went to the Housing Coalition meeting last week. It was held in Mill Bay, and I learned that there are 2 Mill Bay fire halls, not just one. And so the Housing Coalition table, what I did note was that there was a lot of new faces. About, I would say 75 to 80% of the people around that table are all newcomers to their positions, and many new to the Valley. So there's a lot of interesting conversations happening, and there seems to be a lot going on. And also at the Community Action meeting, myself and Miss McWilliam were there, and they're looking for 2 coordinators, one a CAT coordinator and also a peer coordinator. So that has gone out. And so those are sort of the focuses of the discussion there. And I understand we'll be having Dr. Waters come to speak to us with updated stats on what's happening in the community in the next while.
Yeah, she's scheduled to attend the March 3rd council meeting.
Okay, so next month. Also, at the regional district, we're moving into another strategic planning session next week, and so I hope to have an update next time we have a council meeting about some of the direction that the regional district is going. And on the regional, there's a number of things happening that are happening at that seem to be happening everywhere. But one thing that I'd like to talk about when I'm at the strategic planning for the regional district is around the OCP processes that are happening there and at North Cowichan and here, and we're all sort of starting them at the same time. So I'm hoping that there's ways that we can coordinate some of those. And so the regional district seems like a good place to start that discussion. I'm assuming that staff are already having it because there are crossovers in many areas. And I would also like to mention about the state of emergency that we just had. And so it was hard to sleep through the rainfall the other night, and I've heard we had more rain that night than we have in a year in other parts of Canada. And it impacted a lot of people in a pretty dramatic way, very, very quickly. And so the regional district went into emergency operations, and Mr. DeVertai and I were on the phone calls as things were being sorted out, and so it was sort of the first emergency response that since I've been sitting in this chair, since that we've been a part of at the city. And one of the things that I'd like to say is just how vital it is that we have the relationships we have. That is an incredible team of people at the regional district that are in charge of that. I don't know how many hours they were all up and focused on what they were doing, making sure that everyone was taken care of, that the community center was opened, that information was getting out about evacuations, helping evacuations specifically with Hawalt First Nation was deeply impacted. And so, yeah, just how amazing this community comes together. Russell Farm Markets, as we know, was flooded, and within, I believe, hours of starting a campaign page, managed to raise the funds that they needed for their deductible in order to deal with insurance and get ready again, and just the number of people and the stories that I heard about all the people going out to make sure that everything was taken care of, helping with sandbags, fill them, stack them. And so, yeah, we have a pretty phenomenal community. And I would just like to really congratulate the emergency operations team as well, because they did a fantastic job of bringing all that together. And I would also just like to just point out too that Cowichan Tribes is still searching for Ethan Sampson, and so there is an active page on social media where people can get information about how they can help out in the search. They were searching all day today and had a number of people out helping, and they're also taking donations of food and other things to help with the volunteers. So that search continues. And so I just want to invite people to participate if they can as that progresses. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are with the family and the community as they're going through this. So I think that is my update for tonight. Thank you. So, proclamations. Kin Canada. That Council proclaim February 20th, 2020 as Kin Canada Day in the City of Duncan, and that Council proclaim February 16th to 22nd, 2020 as Kin Canada Week in the City of Duncan. Second? Any discussion? I know. But they're not backwards. That's not a palindrome. All those in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Motion carried. That Council proclaim March 6th, 2020 as World Lymphedema Day in the City of Duncan. Do I have a mover and a seconder? All those in favor? Motion carries. Question period. Are there any questions from anyone? Hearing none. Seconder? All those in favor? Meeting adjourned.
What?